Alright guys, HyDra again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far following the Johnny versus OpTic drama at the weekend, with the emotes being put fully on display after their victory in the Game 5 against OpTic Texas. More information has been revealed on exactly why we got to this point and why Pred might be looking to come for revenge. But the Vegas guys have revealed that actually no, Pred started this whole drama. That's why Johnny was doing what he did, and he's going to continue doing so as they go through more of these online matches. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Just to quickly mention this, if you guys didn't see it the other day, I thought it was worth just mentioning quickly again in tweet form. So EWC_COD, which presumably is Esports World Cup _COD. Now we don't know if the Esports World Cup is going to include COD this year, but as we saw a few days ago now, there are 2 weeks of like the 7 or 8 week Esports World Cup held in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, that have games that are yet to be determined. And Call of Duty may be one of them. Like, there've been rumours about this for years now. Even Doug Sent to Martin mentioned this a couple of years ago, that there was the possibility of him getting invited to the Gamers 8 tournament, as it was back then in Saudi Arabia, which has now effectively become the Esports World Cup. But, you know, there are rumours that Gamers 8 wanted to host Call of Duty stuff, wanted to offer a lot of money for those guys to go and play. Doug was pretty keen, but Activision at the time said, no, we're not interested. Now, Microsoft have come along, and also you've got to consider, like, I think Overwatch is there. Basically, every single game is there. Counter-Strike is there, Dota is there, Rocket League I'm pretty sure is there, Apex I think is there. So it would be a surprise if COD wasn't there or is never going to be there. I think it will be at some point. It might be this year. Depending on the timing, this could be really interesting. There were rumours a while ago that they were going to do this, but the format was going to be not like what it is in Pro COD. You were going to get a few players in from the league or from content creators or whatever. They were going to partner up with maybe some Saudi Arabian players, and they were going to do something to that effect. That may not be what the plan is, but if this is going to be in August, because that's the rumour that it might be week 7 is in August for the Esports World Cup, if COD was to be played then, that's well after the World Championships. There might be a real possibility here to see some more action. So it is almost certain this account was, you know, the name was changed with the intention to use this account to broadcast Call of Duty for the Esports World Cup. Whether it's happening now, that is another question, right? Is it happening this year, or have they just done this to prepare for a time where COD may be there for EWC without losing the option for EWC_COD on Twitch, because somebody might take it for some reason? So, you know, it's either potentially it's going to be a thing, or it is a thing. It's one of the two as far as I'm concerned. Quickly on the game itself, as Bant says, the headshot multiplayer updates. There's been lots of debate on this. Is it good? Is it bad? Like, aim higher, mate. You'll get more headshots, says Beans in the replies. But most pros probably not happy with the changes, and I think, generally speaking, Sledgehammer do a good job of hearing the community and trying to respond to the changes in a positive way. The issue is that they don't always make the best changes, right? We've seen this with maps, we've seen this with spawns, we've seen this with hardpoint rotations, and now we are seeing this, I think, with the, you know, the MCW. The MCW change came out, the headshots were no longer so effective. Dashy and others were talking about, the MCW is way too weakened. Maybe they're seeing data that indicates that in what they're looking at for public matches and all these other factors. But effectively, putting it back to the way that it was is maybe not the best idea either. So I think, like, often the developers, they have the right idea. It's just the execution where they sometimes get let down. Just quickly before we get on to this Vegas drama, wanted to mention on Boston, because where do you go from here? We were talking about them on the show last night, and I basically said, look, when Slasher departed this team, I'm sure he was expecting them to get worse and didn't think it was a good idea for them to get rid of him. But the fact that they've lost literally every single series since Slasher has departed, and Asim as well, but obviously Asim had the Vegas stint, so there is that. Slasher's not come back into the league since this point. There were rumours, of course, that he was potentially going to get back into the league on the Minnesota Rocker just the other day. There were those rumours that Parasite mentioned that it was meant to be Slasher, Dylan, Rex, I think Linz and Vivid, right? That was meant to be the team of 4. They considered that team of 4 going into this split to the Minnesota Rocker, but they decided not to do so because of the new hardpoint strategy they unveiled that obviously worked really well against Seattle Surge this weekend. So Slasher is potentially going to be on that team, and Minnesota Rocker themselves have some serious questions to answer because they decided not to make a move when they potentially could have done, and yeah, here we are with Minnesota not looking good. But even then, they still beat Boston, right? They still beat this new Boston team. Can you believe it? Well, I can, but just because Boston are so bad at those situational plays in the search and destroys, and if Slasher can teach them how to do it, if Major Maniac can't teach them how to do it, and of course Major had a bit of a stinker there as well, that map 5, then is there any hope for this Boston Breach team? They've put a lot of money in this Boston Breach team, as have Minnesota Rocker over the last few years. Both teams have underperformed expectations rather massively. And I guess from the Minnesota Rocker side, the fact that it's now kind of publicly known that they were considering changes very heavily indeed, and big changes at that, now they've stuck it out, is it not kind of clear if you're a Rocker player that it might be chalked, you know? Like, once it's very heavily considered to make moves and you don't do so, surely the team chemistry can't be where it needs to be. This is the Boston Breach, though. I mean, they've had so many players on their team this season. Actually, you look at the numbers, and they are pretty much all not especially pretty. Slasher had a 1.0, Snoopy had a 1.0, Beans has a 1.06, actually, which is, you know, by far the highest Slayer rating on the team this season. But unfortunately, nobody else is shooting back a lot of the time. And unfortunately for Major Maniac, that does seem true of him on the team so far, but they've got a few more games. They have effectively 6 more matches this season. They play 5 more qualifiers, and they play 1 match at the Major before they're going to go out top 12, and it's going to be over, and they're obviously not going to make the World Championship. But let's talk about some Search and Destroy 8s, some Hardpoint 8s. We've actually seen over the last couple of days people playing a bit more COD. It's been talked about over the last couple of weeks that some players are like, why are these guys, given their trash, not trying to get better? Why are they just getting on for scrims, maybe watching some VOD and going off and chilling for the rest of the day? Let's get grinding, boys. Like, let's do the Drazah, which is play a load of COD, play more COD than anybody else, and become incredibly good. Even on FaZe, become incredibly good. As Stanley says, Hardpoint 8, ReeaL's like, yep, I'm down. And, you know, Ian says, Heretics finalists needed to grind more. Method took the coach, and the replies is like, yeah, what are you talking about, Buster? Like, we have been grinding, or whatever the case is. But still, I think it's cool to see that players are actually doing this stuff, and as a result, we get some interesting storylines emerging in these games. What you will see in 8, in Hardpoint 8, in Search and Destroy 8, Money 8, whatever they play, whether they are streamed or not, is you do get some friction and some banter and some trash talk between players, and sometimes it doesn't necessarily go too far, but sometimes it goes to such an extent that you'll find the players take that stuff over to actual matches themselves. So nice little 1v3 here from Shotzzy the other day, but the big talking point was, after Johnny's victory against OpTic, the 3-2 win, finishing 1-1 of the weekend, shooting Diffie that series, he says, can't wait for next week. He made the point that actually Pred had started the whole thing. Now, we didn't really have the full information on this, but no, Nero actually clarified last night on the Dope Check show that yes, indeed, it was Pred that had said some very interesting words to Johnny, and therefore Johnny was the one that clapped back.
Real quick,
because Johnny said that he did the L emote because Pred was talking shit in Money.
Yeah, he was, in S&D8s. Yeah, he said that. Pred said something like, "I don't even know why I'm playing you. You're shit," or something like that.
Let's watch Dashy chirp on Gio.
Pushing you dead.
Flowers dead.
Got one on the back. One shot.
Right.
On the right. Shit on dog shit. Fuck. I'm gonna head out the back.
One might spawn here. One might spawn here.
Yeah, one. He's back shots. He got fucking his.
That's it.
One guy's what he's a little bit.
There was also that clip there, of course, of Dashy and Gio getting into it a little bit over the last few days. That was the clip we're actually getting into here on the show when, yeah, Dashy was playing some 8s and then Gio was on the other side and he kind of slammed him and said, you're terrible or whatever. And this often happens. Obviously, sometimes it's tongue-in-cheek, but nonetheless, if you see the stuff you hear, the stuff you might think, all right, like when I play them next time in the league, I'm going to go extra hard or whatever. I know there was some talk as well about the fact that Vegas Legion are doing like, you know, a PR tour as if they've just won the World Cup or something, right? Because we had Attach and Johnny on the flank, and then of course Nero comes on the Dope Check show last night, and you know, Vegas making the most of the opportunity, and I think for very good reason, right? It's cool to hear their perspective on things, and obviously they're happy to talk about a great victory they achieved a few days ago with a very realistic possibility now of still making it to the World Championship. But yeah, apparently Pred started the whole thing, because with the Vikul stuff in January, it was really Vikul that started, right? They got 3-0, he threw up the 3-0 sign, and the rest is history since then. But apparently, Dashy obviously talking trash to Gio, this is probably a week or so ago now, several days ago. Pred apparently talking trash to Johnny as well, saying, you know, I don't even know why I'm playing you, you're terrible type thing. And then, of course, Johnny beats him and throws up the 3-0 sign of the replies. We then, of course, Johnny says, look, Pred was chirping me last night, and I'm not sure Pred is convinced still that he's actually a good player, right? This is what you'll tend to find with some of the responses, players, from Dashy, from Pred, and from others. And yeah, here's Johnny throwing up the L emote. What Pred's exactly going to do to get his revenge on this, I don't know, but I'm sure he's cooking up some sort of ideas. There was also talk from the Vegas boys, are they going to let Johnny do this again, right? Because, okay, look, it's kind of cringe, but at the same time, it's kind of funny. And there were some mixed opinions from the Vegas guys, because Nero initially said that they told him, look, Johnny, that's a bit cringe, like, let's not do that again. But then Attach on the flank was saying, actually, no, we've told him, you know what, if you are going to do it, just do it every single series, you know, like just have a bit of a gimmick, and whoever we beat, start throwing up the L's emojis or whatever the case. Like, there's options out there, but you know, I don't know if we'll see more of this. Of course, if we are going to see more of this, it is going to take more victories from the Vegas Legion, so I guess it's worth looking at what their bracket is from now until the end of the stage. And here we go. So their next game, they started off this stage hard. They played Toronto, they lost 3-0. They played OpTic, they won 3-2. Next game, they play the Subliners. So difficult game, a game that obviously they're not going to be favoured in, but a game that they could win. They then play Surge, another really good team. So that could easily be, you know, 0-2. They could lose both of those series for sure. If they can win one of those in the same way that they won one of Toronto and OpTic, that's really good. Gorillas, they should be beating, I would say. Thieves are definitely beatable, although it's definitely still going to be difficult. They're in a similar category right now to Surge, but I think for sure Vegas can beat them. And then Rocker, I would absolutely back Vegas to beat them on current form. If Rocker make a change, could be a different story. But they've maybe gone too far, Rocker, to make a change at this point. So out of these 5 remaining games, I'm thinking 2 wins, possibly 3 wins. Going to be difficult, I would say, to get much more than that, but it's definitely on the table. And if they were to do something like that, they would get to, let's say, 140 or 150. The feeling is that you're going to need 170 will basically guarantee it. That is the current feeling. 170 is basically going to guarantee it. Let's say Vegas were to win 3 of those remaining series. They go to the major and get 8th place. That would give them 15 points. That would put them at 165. If they were to win 2 of these games and then go to the major and get another 15 points for getting top 8, they would get to 155. And 155 may be enough, but it may well not be. So it's pretty touch and go. Obviously, it depends on their opposition here. But I think realistically at this point, Surge and Thieves are probably making it to champs on recent form and the amount of points that they have. So the games that they really need to win, Vegas, are Gorillas and Rocker. They have to win both of those series. If they don't, they are almost certainly not making it. But very much interested in your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments section below. Just one final thing to mention I thought was very impressive here, as is usually the case from HyDra. Is he now the greatest European player ever? I think he has been now for some time, to be honest. It was Bance maybe for some while, and Bance is still in the convo. CleanX is obviously in the convo. There's other European legends, you know, Zero, for example, Madcat, Swanee, Jerd, etc., legends of the space. But in recent times, HyDra's come into the league, been arguably the best individual player in the league in the last couple of titles. Certainly last year it was outrageous. 4-time champion. And of course, I think it's the world champion that really got the job done, as far as I'm concerned. Like, the fact that he's won the event and he's the MVP, no other European player has done that. So, to me, that solidifies it. And he's played 19 career events. He's gone positive every single time, which is very difficult to do nowadays. But very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.